Everybody, this is Seth Apter. I want to give a shout out to all of Karen's people who are taking the time to watch this video. I am at Creativation 2020 in Phoenix, and I am sharing with you my new products from the Aladine booth. You might want to even pan the booth and see all the beauty that's here, including
Kevin there. Yeah.
You caught me.
and that's Kevin.
Sorry.
So we're here today. I'm going to demo and show you some different products and ways to use them. I think they're really unique, and I'm really excited to be able to show you how to take these products that you might actually already have some of and twist them in a different way to make them very special for you. So why don't we get going? Okay, so I'm just going to work on a small piece of paper so I can work quickly through the different techniques. And we're going to start with paint. This is not my paint, but this is paint from the iZink line. Aladine is the company, iZink is the color line. It's nature-based paint. It is hemp-based. And it's really beautiful and smooth, you'll see. So we're going to quickly, because that's how I always work so I don't overthink, just take a little bit of paint. It's in these great pouches, which means that you can get to the last drop of every bit of paint in here. And I'm going to just use a palette knife. I'm not using a brush at all today.
Anna said hi to you.
Hey, Anna.
And Jen.
Jen, hello. So I'm just spreading this out, and it's a very fast dry paint. So I am quickly going to take the tip of the palette knife, and I'm going to scratch in here.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, cool.
So this way I'm going to get some extra texture. And you guys are going to see when I add more layers later how these scratches just come right out to the front. For me, mixed media is all about texture and layers and dimension.
I have one of your pieces every year in my art room. Yeah, every year I do a demo.
I love it. Thank you. All right, so I could scratch forever, but you can see that I've scratched down to the a little bit back to the white of the paper. And what I did, I didn't talk to you about it, but I just took two colors and I squeezed a little bit out and spread them out. For me, that is a nice way to get all of that with one layer. It looks like I've already done 3 or 4 layers there. We're going to move to another product while this is drying, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. Really excited to be releasing these and kind of show you a sample of them. These are my new Pigment Inks. There are 18 colors in the line. They kind of roughly break down into vintage colors, jewel tone colors, and metallic colors. And they're pigment inks, which means they're permanent. They're really, really thick and rich and highly pigmented. And you can do so much with them. You might pan back to that big piece of art in the back. So that's a piece of art I made. It's 36 inches by 56 inches. There's no paint in there. It's all these pigment inks and some dye ink sprays. So you can really do a lot with these inks and use them in, I think, pretty fun ways. So the first thing you're going to notice about these is that the bottle is a cool bottle. It's glass, which I love. And then when you open it, you're going to see that it actually has a brush in it.
Oh, it's like a nail polish.
Yeah, it's like a nail polish brush. So you can use it in lots of different ways. And I'm going to use it in a different way today just to highlight the fact that you need to know that just because there is a brush, that doesn't mean it's the only way to use it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just take the brush out and I'm going to pour it out. And you're going to see when I tip it just how thick this ink
Jen,
is.
there's no silly questions, but I didn't see your question, so ask it again, please.
And what I'm going to do is spritz it with a little bit of water just so it moves around.
So they're water soluble?
They're not water soluble because they're permanent, but they will
react.
They will react to water in a manner of speaking, so they'll just become more liquid.
Oh, okay.
You can also mix them with alcohol.
Cool.
And then what I'm going to do is just spread it out with the palette knife. And in doing so, it's going to start filling those cracks that I scratched in. So that scratching, if you're going to do it, really do it.
Oh, she was asking if the pigment ink was acrylic.
It's the Pigment Ink acrylic base. It's an acrylic-based pigment ink.
Yes.
And it's all surface. So it goes on wood, metal, glass, fabric. And in fact, if you look on those little tiny cups, because this is a French company, so the cups are
that's
petite.
porcelain,
Yeah.
or like ceramic.
They're ceramic cups. So those have been designed with the pigment and then put through the dishwasher multiple times.
Wow.
So you can really do a lot
And with
with it.
no glaze or anything on top?
With no glaze at all.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to just do what I do, which is make some layers.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take another color.
Mm-hmm.
This one is Stratosphere.
Oh, cool.
And I'm going to, again, not use the brush. And I'm just going to tip and pour a little bit. And again, you can see how thick that is because it's just not running out. And I'm taking my time because I don't want it to run out. There we go. I'm just going to put that little bit. A little bit goes a long way. These are small jars, but they last.
Are these the same as like the ones that came in the dropper before, or
Oh.
they have a different formula?
It's a completely different formula. Yep. So it's a reboot of that product
Oh.
without the dropper, but it's a different formula. So it's thicker,
Yeah.
and also it has a more matte feel.
Oh, okay.
So there's less shine. I don't know if you can kind of tell here the way it's
Yeah, there's no-
catching.
yeah.
There's some shine from the paint, but really barely any shine
Right.
from the pigment ink. I'm not a blingy guy, so I kind of wanted a more matte.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is the color range is different as well. So this one's purple
Okay.
haze,
That's nice.
and again I'm gonna pour. If I remember the purple one, there's not much left in this one, so I may even have to just give it a little help. There we go.
Cool.
Just a touch. I am a person who always says more is more, but in terms of this product, all the products, they're really highly pigmented. You really don't need much.
Can you stamp on it?
Oh, you can absolutely stamp on it. You can do anything on it that you could do under it. So you can stamp on it, you can write over it, you can paint over it. I'm adding the purple just to give a little bit of brightness and a little bit of contrast. It is also, inks by nature are translucent. And you can see that there's a level of translucency here because I'm not covering everything. But these inks, relatively speaking, have some opaque aspects to their nature. So you can, for example, see there, that's a little bit of a stronger impression. And I'm watering it down, and with a little bit of water, you can really get that translucency. But straight out of the bottle, they have a lot more opacity than what you might expect from an ink. I'm going to add one more color, because I do have to get back to more is more. And this one is lychee.
Like the fruit, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it? Is that lychee?
It's either lychee or lychee.
Yeah. Interesting. Like I always thought it was lychee, but it could be that it's lychee. I have no idea.
Well, I'm from New York, so that's my New York accent. And again, you can see how thick this is because this is not just pouring out.
Right. Well, you could take a dropper, I guess, too, if you're at home at least.
Absolutely. But you can thin these down as well. So I could put this in a spray bottle, add some water, and it will spritz. You really can do a lot. I wanted it thick, so you had the option of either thick or thin.
Oh, wow, okay. One question about these paints. I know they're
Yep.
not like, can you run them through a stencil? Are they thick enough? Or are they more like liquidy?
No, they're thick enough to run through a
These paints,
stencil.
sorry,
Yep.
these, yeah, okay.
You can definitely run it through a stencil. They're pretty pasty as paint goes. I would probably call them sort of a thick fluid acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I added that lychee color to get a little bit of brightness there. And I like that. Yeah. So we're going to say that in terms of this layer, we're done with that. And you still see the scratches, which I really love.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to move on to the product that I'm most excited about. This is Ice. Ice comes in 18 colors. I just have a few here. Ice is a new medium. It's an ink-based medium. It's a gel. A little different than I think what people are used to. It is a translucent glaze. You can use it through a stencil. It's quite thick. You can use it to add texture. You can hit it with a heat gun and bubble it, so you get this amazing surface. You can make acrylic skins with it. There's a ton of things you can do with it. And in fact, it's so new, I'm still discovering all the things you can do. So I kind of want to explain one thing to you that's really important. So I'm going to move away from this and just get a piece of paper so you can see the properties that it has. Because again, it's a little different than what's out there. So for example, if I look at this color here, this is called Whiskey Frost. I'm not sure this is the color that would grab the eye of everybody walking down the aisle. Because my other name for it, don't tell the company, is baby poo.
Yeah.
But it's gorgeous. So first I'm going to show you, it's in this pouch. When you squeeze it out, you get a true color. It looks exactly like it looks in the jar, because that's a window. It's kind of a caramel color. I actually think it's a nice color. If I left it thick, that's the color. But as soon as I brush it out with a palette knife, you're going to see the gorgeousness that this.
I was not expecting.
No, it's a surprise. You get these gorgeous honey yellow whiskey tones.
Can I ask you what paper you're using?
I do not know, because this was just left here.
Oh, but is it?
Oh, it's basically a cardstock.
Okay.
Probably about 110-pound cardstock.
That's good to know, because I want to know how thick the product can go. On what paper can the product
Oh, I have. Yeah, it can go even on a light paper, and it somehow
won't rip it?
No,
Wow.
no, not at all. So this is also quick dry. So that's not dry, but that's dry already.
Wow.
So I can spread it out very thin and get it very light, or I can put it on much more texturally, and keep it kind of really bumpy and rich that way. You know I like my textures. And the less you spread it out, the darker and more true to the color in the packet that you see it is. I can scratch through it, and again I can stencil through it. And I'm going to do all that on my piece, but I kind of wanted to show it to you so you see what it's really like. It's like a translucent acrylic paint in the sense that you have to get used to how a translucent works. So for example, if I were doing this on a black card, you would not see that color. You would get the sheen and the texture, but you would not see the color. So the lighter your background, just like with a translucent acrylic paint, the more true to the color it is.
What about gel plates? Is it drying too fast for that?
Yeah, so I will tell you that gel plates are one thing that I have not used it on yet. So I cannot answer.
Okay.
Actually, there's a few things I haven't had a chance.
Yes.
I am thinking it may not work on a jelly plate, to be honest, but I don't know. So if one of you guys want to run.
Can you use the icing like a collage medium? Somebody's asking that.
Like a collage medium.
Like to, stick collage things on.
You can, but I don't know that I would. It is an adhesive, in a manner of speaking, because it's sticky.
Yeah.
And I can drizzle inclusions in it. I could drizzle glitter in it. I can, let's just while I'm talking show you another color. I can sprinkle embossing powder in it and then melt it.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know that I would use it as sort of the glue underneath. What I use it for is the glaze over. So when I finish my collage, this becomes something that seals it and shifts the tint. So this one in particular, the Whiskey Frost, to me is the perfect vintage tint. I love putting this over black and white old photos. You get this gorgeous, soft, subtle tint. But I don't know that I would actually use it to replace a matte medium or collage medium, personally.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you the purple, just to give you another hint. You can see it's a dark, rich color, but you get this beautiful soft shade when you spread it out. And the beauty is that, especially once it dries, you can work over. And I could keep it dark, I could make it light, and it will shift the color every time. If you don't wait for the lower layer to dry, you will start mixing, and some of the colors mix really well and you create magic, and sometimes, just like anything else, you create mud. So you just need to learn the differences. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to move this aside and just add it to our piece and show you how I do that.
Perfect. I'm excited to try these.
I think the ice is really fun because it's just new and different. So I'm going to go back to my Whiskey Frost, and you're going to see how it kind of lifts the colors and shifts the look. It adds depth and shadow, and I'm only going to take a little bit because I'm not going to do a whole spread. I want it to be really uneven and different. So if I do that...
But the colors are not wet, the ones underneath, right?
Colors are full on dry.
Yeah.
The pigment inks are also quick dry. Mm-hmm. So you can see the shift from there to there. It's obviously a sort of a soft honey yellow tone.
It's beautiful.
What it does, in my mind, is also kind of lift and highlight the colors underneath.
So Jen Joggles is going to be carrying the whole line of Seth and all of the whole line of ice, and they already almost, I think they might even already have it. I'll link that below in the video.
That is not correct. I
No?
don't think so. So in terms of release,
Oh,
we're
sorry.
staggering. That's okay. I mean, they've already ordered it.
They ordered
but
it,
we're
yeah.
staggering the release. So
Oh, so when is the release?
So the thing I haven't showed you yet, which are the new dye sprays, they're coming out at the end of January.
Okay,
So
perfect.
basically, not after this show, but after there's another show in Frankfurt. The diamond, the Ice Ink Ice, that's going to be coming out in mid-February.
Okay.
All right, so that's basically 3+ weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the pigment is coming out in mid-March. So the releases are staggered 1 month, 1 month, 1 month.
Okay. But Joggles carries the whole line.
The whole line, every color.
Every color.
There are
everything.
18, and 20 colors of the 3 lines. 18, 20. So 56 colors. Joggles will have them all.
Yeah.
Yep.
I already spoke to Barb, and she said that she already put the order even before she came to the show. So you're all good.
She was on top of it.
Yes.
All right, so now I'm going to just use another color. So let's go to that purple.
See, I'm afraid to use
Which
so
is
many
Arctic
colors.
grape.
I love using color,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I kind of stop at around 4 or 5 would be like my max. And I'm like, I'm more monochromatic.
It's tricky because sometimes when you add too many, it makes it into a hot mess. And usually hot messes are good, but sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
And my experience is just that you can go in one of 2 directions, and I like to go in both in different pieces. A lot of my pieces are so monochromatic. I will stay in all the blues family. You know, there's no contrast. There's no shading difference, and I love that look. But then the opposite is when I go where there's all the different shades, and I
this
just
is
really
more
love that
daring
too.
for me. I love how it glazes. I actually
Yep.
can see that. It's hard to see in the video. Oh yeah, now you can see it when you do that.
So we call it ice for lots of reasons, the translucency, but it's because of the glossy, glassy surface.
I like that.
It's perfect for me because I don't love bling.
Neither do I. It doesn't look glossy. It looks like I don't know, some kind of like glazy,
Yep.
but it's even. It's not like blotchy.
Correct. Yep. You can make it blotchy, but I just love the look of the even, smooth glaze. It shifts the colors. It adds some shadow.
I love that.
This is called iced tea,
I like it.
and it's a darker one, but it gets lighter when you run it out. I'm going to add a little bit of that. Guess that's how much I'm going to add. So you can see it's dark, but as soon as I spread it out, it softens, and it just has this there. That's what I love. That rich brown kind of shadow and shading. And really, in that one run, I've kind of shifted the tone of that piece.
Yes.
There we go, like that brown. This is in one of the vintage colors. There's also iced coffee, and the black has a nice tone to it for a little bit of vintage when you want it sort of dirty vintage. I'm going to add one more color, and then we'll move on. Let me just cap it. Always important to close whatever you're using. Let's just add a touch of black.
You can also put some back if it's not tainted. I know I've done it before.
Yep. You can definitely in these. You just would, the palette knife. In terms of how you apply this, you can apply this lots of different ways, but I have recommendations. This is a very jelly-like form, so I love it most with the palette knife. You can also use those sort of silicone spatulas that are out there.
Yeah.
You can use a baby wipe. It's really nice to use a baby wipe. So, for example, let's get another color out here, and let's just squeeze this one, and then we'll do it with a baby wipe. Okay, again, this one's going to shift to a beautiful color when it smooths out. Nice and soft. And as I rub, I'm taking more and more away. If I were to use a paper towel, and it didn't have what's in the baby wipe, you can see the coloration stays darker. So you can use that kind of application. I haven't used a brayer, but I have been told you can use a brayer. Brushes are tricky.
You can paint with?
If you do not clean your brush instantly, you can potentially ruin your brush. I do not use it with a brush because I don't clean anything. Nothing. I want to work, I don't want to clean. So if you just use a brush and you sit your brush there and then you realize 5 minutes later it's got to go in the water, it's going to be too late. So especially don't use a good brush.
Will it remove? Can you remove it with water, like from clothes, or like on your hands, clothes? Like does it remove easily?
Um, you're gonna need to wash and scrub. So those scrubbies, those scrubbies, we all have that scrubby. The scrubby works great. A little bit of sort of abrasion. If it gets on your hands, it's kind of like acrylic paint in a manner of speaking. You put it under the water and you rub it, it's still going to be there. So you do need to work a little bit with that. It's a thick substance.
Okay.
So I'm going to add the black, and for me the black, what I love about the black is it just gives this sort of rich, dirty, dark shadow. Now, if you like the jewel tones, you don't use this. If you like sort of a little bit of dirty and the sort of the depth of shadow, you add this.
Not dirty, grungy.
Oh, I don't think dirty's a bad word. Definitely grungy.
Grungy. I like that. I love black. I always add black to all my products.
Yeah. Now, you could go heavy black like that corner, but if I just run it out like that, that's where you just get the shadow and the depth. And that's what I really like about this glazing, because it just gives you so much depth and richness. Probably if I was really thinking, I would have done half with the glaze and half left it alone so you could compare it side by side. But that ship has sailed.
That's okay. I love this one.
So the last thing I'm going to do for this piece is I'm going to stencil a little bit and show you how the ice works with the stencil. The tricky thing about ice is that it's sticky. Once it dries, it's not sticky. So here's a sample that I made for a class I did here. The background is done the same way. You can see the sheen, and then this, and this are iced through the stencil. It holds up just like any paste. These are products that the company also has called Diamond.
Yeah, I've used those.
Which is, they're really fun and bright. The thing is that until this layer is somewhat dry, you can see it kind of sticks. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to put a stencil down and put lots of pressure when you're going through it, it could possibly come off. So you need to hit it with a heat gun. The tricky thing is that I don't have a heat tool.
I know.
So I am going to just see what we can do.
It will give a good texture if it removes some of it.
Sure. So I'm going to use...
Is this your stencil?
Yeah, don't tell the people in Aladine. I'm using my new stencil, one of my new stencils from Stencil Girl.
Oh, nice. That's a good one.
And I'm just going to add a little bit of... I'm going to choose one of these and add it as kind of the focal point. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to choose the one that says heal. Art. Let's do art. Okay.
Oh, there it is. I didn't see that.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose one of my colors.
Oh, can you do heal, actually?
Sure.
Since I might get this after.
You are getting it. What do you mean might get it?
So heal. I love the word heal. Heal and art, actually. You can put both. One on each side.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little twisty thing with this. I'm just gonna choose. Do you like purple?
I love anything.
Okay. Wow. I love that.
Color. I love all colors.
So what I'm gonna do is I could put it directly on the I don't know. Can you see?
Yes. Oh, so yes.
I could either just put it directly on the palette knife, or I can squeeze it down here. So I'm gonna just squeeze it out. Yeah. And then this is sticky, my friend.
There's people here now.
There's people. We asked everybody not to come to the show till we finished the video, but for some reason they wanted to come in. Is it sticking? It's sticking already. Yeah,
that's
this
okay.
is the issue.
But I like that.
You like that?
I like that. You see, I like that. So that's okay.
All right. So
don't stress. I don't stress about these things.
Okay.
I go with the
Thank you.
flow.
I don't stress either. But
I like
when I'm making a piece for somebody, I want it to be.
Oh no. I like grungy and texture and stuff.
So we're just gonna go in and we're gonna hold down the stencil because this stuff is sticky and it can pull up. And we're going to just go through it.
I love these. I'm gonna ask Mary Beth too.
Oh, these are. I'm happy with how this one came out.
Yeah.
It's called ATC Mix Up Number 2. They're all ATC size, and there's 9 of them on the sheet. So then when I lift it up, hopefully not pulling the rest of the card up. Yeah, there it goes.
It's okay. Somebody's asking, how do you clean the stencils from this gel?
Oh, like this.
With a wipe?
Yep. And you do need to clean it, just like with paste.
Yes, right away, right?
Right away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will.
Doesn't matter if it stains, but I just to make sure that you can remove the gunk out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. And then I usually take a paper towel and just wipe off the excess, and then it's.
Or take it to the bathroom sink.
Yeah. Sometimes I just because again
don't
I don't
have
like
that
to clean. I often sit with a little little bowl, and just throw it in, so it's totally clean now. I'm gonna wipe this up. I have that little bit there.
I love actually that the pieces came out. It looks like you did that on purpose, you see?
Yeah, but what I'm gonna do is just touch it with a little bit of glaze. Just a little bit. So I
that's
want them
cool.
there.
See, this is how you fix things when
Yeah.
you don't worry. It doesn't have to be perfect. You
Not
just
at all.
fix things. That's
And
what I
that
always
will-
say
that
in my
will
videos.
integrate. Totally. And this is where the brush would come in perfectly handy, because I can just go ahead and add a little bit of color like that.
Actually, if you added like black at the edges of those, it will look like burnt, like it's
Burn through, yeah. I think I'm gonna handle the camera, and you can come back here and do the demo. Yeah. So, yeah, there we go.
A question for you actually. If you use the pigment inks and you add, like you said, alcohol,
Yep.
will it like go on like Yapo? I wonder if we could, like, it will stay on it. We should try. I'm gonna try when I.
Oh, it should, especially because it's all surface. So it should work totally on
That would be
that
cool.
surface as well. Can I admit this on camera that I've never used Yupo?
Yes, you can.
So I've never used. I'm a Yupo virgin. So that means that if you ask me a question about that, I can say
Sorry.
I don't know, because I don't know.
Somebody's saying that they're your biggest fan.
Thank you, whoever you are. I
And it
appreciate
doesn't say a
it.
name. It says like somebody
Okay.
art by somebody.
Okay.
I love that.
So this is going to be the finished piece. I actually like the fact that the background has enough depth and texture that you don't need to have lots of focal points.
Yes.
You know, this says it all, heal. This is going to take a little while to dry. You can
Okay.
absolutely hit it with a heat tool. And if I were not,
I have a heat tool in another
Great.
booth. I'll go try it.
and if I were not a mile away from the plug, I would have hit this with a heat tool before I stenciled over it. So just be aware with this particular product, because it stays sticky till it dries. You just have to be cautious about the layering. A quick heat tool will take care of that completely.
And
So-
if you want really cool marks, then don't use a heat tool.
Correct. Yeah. All right. So I want to thank you all. For,
Oh, no. What about the
Oh, you want to see the sprays?
Yes,
Okay,
hello.
we got one more. One more.
I came. I wanted to
Hello.
see those. Hello. Where are you
Okay.
going? I'm like, you're leaving me already? Unless you don't want to. But
No, I'm happy to.
I'd love to see the sprays. If you're gonna go, you go for the whole thing. People are like tuned in, so you might as well.
All right, people. So, spray inks.
I'm excited about these.
Let's see, let me give you the ones that are open, just so I can more easily access them. So these are.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, is that the same one?
Yeah, I think so.
Clearly, I have my favorites because I'm pulling two of them.
That's so funny.
Now, this is just 6 colors. There are 18 in the range. They also basically fall into the category of vintage, jewel tone, and metallic. I don't have any metallics here, but the metallics are quite beautiful. The cool things about these, they're relatively matte. Lots of, and most of the dye sprays that are out there are loaded with mica and shine. Again, that's not me.
Sorry, let me put
So it
the
was
point.
important for me that this formulation was not all mica over mica. That being said, the metallics are loaded with mica, but these are not. The other colors are not. They're also quick dry, and I'm going to show you that. And they're also, and I say this with an asterisk, they're no clog. I've had many brands of dye sprays that you spray once, you put it away, a week later you come, a month later you come, a day later you come, and they're all clogged, and you just can't use it. That frustrates me to no end. So this is a no clog formula, and what I mean by that is that most of the time they won't clog. So I've used these since April. I've done a whole tour. We've sprayed them hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of time, and being fully transparent, there have been 4 clogs. So it's going to clog every so often, but this is not going to be a collection that you spray and then you go to a week later and they're all clogged. You're going to have a random clog here and there. There's no way we can not have that.
Can you explain the dye ink for people that don't know what
Sure.
the
So
difference is?
dye ink. Think about everybody knows.
Shauna says hi.
Hey Shauna, good to see you here again. Everybody knows distress ink pads, like Tim's ink pads. Like I don't know that there's a human being on earth anywhere between the ages of 1 month and 99 who haven't used the ink pads. Hi. So when you know that when you use the distress ink pads, they're water reactive, right? You can spritz and spray and blend. They're dye-based ink pads. These are dye-based sprays. So what that means is basically that they're potentially blendable, water soluble. The tricky thing about these, and what I think is great, is that they're also quick dry, which means that you don't have the loads of time that you might typically have to blend.
It's advantages and disadvantages
Correct.
to everything. Yeah.
I tried to create this range of inks that would be different for different people's needs. So this is all surface. This is the pigments. The dye inks are not. They're just for porous. So they're for fabric, they're for paper, they're for untreated wood. These are in sprays, these are not. So there's a whole different line of, these are the glazed inks. So there's a whole different line of some ink for everybody and all your different needs. So with these, I'm going to just demonstrate a little bit without making a piece, just to show you kind of what they're all about. So this one's honey.
I'll tag you after in this video so you can read the comments because they're flying and I just can't like keep up and
Oh,
keep on
okay.
telling you and it feels like I'm interrupting you every
Okay.
second for all the love that you're getting.
Thank you guys. All right,
You can read them after and comment on this.
We're going to give us a spray for that. And I don't know if you can tell how it's soaked into the paper, but this is now dry. I mean,
That's very
I'm
hard.
not lying. It's
No.
dry. So it's quick dry. So you're not going to have the ability to go blending and make the water effects. So if you want that, rather than to go on this sort of untreated, uncoated cardstock, you go with a glossy surface. If it's on a glossy cardstock, you'll have a lot of time to be able to blend and use the water
And
reactions.
they won't reactivate if you spray them with water?
Well, let's see what happens.
I'm curious if they'll reactivate because they're dye.
Well, they should, right? You think they should, right? So let's just do a little bit of a splat. You're going to get some reactivity
almost
because
looks
they're
like
dye
it.
inks.
Awesome.
They have an interesting level of permanence, though. So, for example, if I take the baby wipe and I just do this, it's going to shift it a little bit, but it's not taking it off.
Right.
So it's relatively actually permanent, but it's going to have some of that effect. You can see what's happening.
That's very cool.
So you can go really grungy by doing that, or you can keep it sort of pure and simple. So I often like to just create my full-on background using these sprays. I don't want to get the microphone, so I'm going to pull it back a little bit.
Microphone is okay. My clothes
Okay.
is what I worry. Although this is not expensive, so it's okay.
Nah, but it's cool, so.
That's cool. Yeah. It's only H&M.
So you can just see it how it soaks into the paper. So again, I like to build these backgrounds, hello, just by using the spray inks.
I love it.
And again, it's quick dry. I mean, it's dry.
Unbelievable.
It's not going
I've never
anywhere.
seen that.
So I love that the quick dry formulation of it because for me, I like to work in layers, and I'm a very patient person, but a very impatient artist. So I don't want to like even take the time to hit it with a heat tool. I just want to go. So for example, if I go back now to the ice, and we go back to my favorite color, the Whiskey Frost, I can go ahead and I can glaze it
Somebody's asking how does it work on fab?
and add that beautiful honey tone.
Oh my god.
And it just pulls up the colors from underneath. Oh, it works really, really good on fabric, or really, really well, I should say. If I want to speak proper English.
They're going to be available at Joggles in the next 3 weeks, but they're being staggered. So these ones are first release in
The sprays are the first release at the end of January. The ice that I just layered, that's mid-February. And the pigment that we did before, that's mid-March.
And all of them are available at joggles.com. I will link everything below after I'm done.
So when I see, so I look at that, and I love that, but then when I look at that, and you have that sheen, it just brings the tone up.
I love that.
All the little bit of white. I love white space. I really do, but I also love the softness of that color that fills the white space. So a lot of times when I'm working and I'm painting, I find that I don't always go to the edge. And so when I'm, especially with paint, and I have that little bit of, like you can see it here, the white there. So rather than go back in and paint, if you choose some gorgeous color, I don't know how purple will go, but we're going to find out. You can just add that softness with the glaze, so it shifts the color, it takes away the starkness of the white, but it doesn't take away the contrast between what's underneath it. And again, let's go with the darker one. Whoops.
Smart packaging.
I will put
Yeah,
the
it's good
link for
packaging.
joggles below as well.
Incredible packaging.
The packaging is great, and I love it for a lot of reasons.
Your product isn't going to dry out.
It's never
think
gonna dry
that's
out.
That's one of the biggest complaints
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
with some of
Yeah,
these
and you can
paints.
put, if you haven't tainted it with another thing, you can put it back actually.
Yep.
You can go and like stick it back in.
You get the last drop. You can
Yeah.
absolutely get the last drop. There will be a little bit left in here, but especially if you're using a palette knife, you reach right in and get it.
Yeah.
You know, people who are able to recycle like plastic, you know, I'm assuming everyone's able to recycle like plastic water bottles and stuff like that. So these are considered recyclable plastic.
Good.
And they're fun because if you're stressed, you just take these and squeeze.
Just don't get it mixed up with your applesauce bag.
Correct. Yeah, several people have said that. And if you get stressed and squeeze, make sure the cap is on. And if you don't leave the cap on, there's the potential, obviously, for it to dry out.
Yeah, it does.
But that's just true with any product. So I'm gonna sort
Can you
of call
show
it.
it through a stencil? Just one last spray. Oh, like, you're like, you want to kick me out? What is this? Everybody's like so excited. There's like a lot of
Thank you,
people
guys.
here.
Let's just use.
Just to see how it fits through. Because if
Okay.
it dries fast, that means that it will go well through a stencil.
Oh, it goes really nicely through the stencil. One of the tricks with going through a stencil is you don't need to overspray. Lots of people just spritz and spritz and spritz and spritz. So let's just give it a spritz.
Are these products archival? Will the colors? I missed the question. Are they archival? I'm sure they are. Yeah.
I believe that they are, but honestly, I need to ask.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm always up front, people. If I don't know, I say it. So you can believe me when I do say it.
I can't read that fast, so please put the questions one at a time.
So I'm doing it soft, so it's
Oh,
more of a
that's nice,
background.
yeah.
But I could also go very heavy, you know,
Oh,
and make
wow.
it much stronger and make it actually a design element.
They're definitely permanent, so ask if they're archival. That was it. Will the colors fade? That's what it was.
Oh, they have all the ink that we're using. This is very juicy, right? So I'm gonna just put this aside, and I gotta do something about that. All the ink that is produced in these products is made in France. So, you know, nothing against other places that make ink, because ink is everywhere.
I actually turned off my phone calling. Oh, I know what I did wrong.
Are we still there?
Yeah, we're still there.
Okay.
Sorry, it was my fault. Okay. Are
So
you
the-
guys still there? Yeah, just come on.
Everybody's
Yeah,
there? So the ink is made in France, and it's really a high quality ink. Aladine has been around for many. Hey, Roberta has been around for many years. They've been in the marketplace originally doing traditional calligraphy ink. They've served sort of royals and lots of people. So the quality of the ink in terms of the light fastness and the pigmentation is just really high. So you're not gonna have an issue. Now this is on the ice. So this is actually an important thing to make mention. Remember I said how quick dry these are? I love that, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So that's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, in one of the.
Oh,
so that's why I'm saying it's not drying because it's.
It's on the glossy surface of the ice.
Yes.
So this would be the time where if you wanted to, I don't want to because I want to keep the shape, but this would be the time that I can manipulate it with a little bit of water or blend. Because this would be like a glossy cardstock at this point.
What
But
is
if
the color?
but if I were to
What was the color of that spray they wanted to
the darker one that I
Yeah.
put, that is coffee.
Coffee. That's what it is. It's coffee, guys.
Coffee. It's a French company, so everything's in English and French.
Yeah.
So it's marron, which is actually brown.
And it's a very high quality product.
So if I did want to blend here, I could, but I don't want to because I don't want to lose the design.
But it will still dry on top of the.
Oh, it will
glaze,
totally
right?
dry. It's just going to take a lot longer to dry. So that's. Oh, you can see. I don't have a heat tool because the plug, no cord. But yes, you can absolutely heat set it, and then you can move right from there. But we're just going to have to let it dry naturally. And again, you saw earlier on the direct on the cardstock, on watercolor paper, that kind of thing, it's quick dry. And when we say quick dry, I mean, what did I do? Like after 4 or 5 seconds?
Yeah,
and
not
it
even.
didn't smudge. Not even, yeah. You could actually literally see it absorb through the paper. But if you don't want it that way and you want to have the other effects, do it on something glossy or do it over the ice.
Very
Now,
cool.
the ice here, this is not sticky anymore at all. So that glaze layer of the ice has dried. That's probably been, what, about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit more. I like that. Yeah. Now I have to decide which way it goes. Can we vote?
Okay, which way does it go? Everybody can vote on which way. So what are the 2 ways? That way
Well,
or?
4 ways.
Oh, 4 ways, yeah. This way,
So this is 1.
1.
This is 2. This is 3. Can you guess what the next one is? 4.
Oh gosh, I'm in between. I won't say which ones are my favorite, but
Un, deux,
4.
trois, quatre.
People said 4. 4.
Do we remember what 4 was?
Yeah, that one.
That one?
How to clean the stencil from the spray.
Oh,
you
okay.
just cleaned it.
So what I
They're
did
worried that it's stained. Somebody was saying that it's stained.
Oh,
There's
just
1, 2. Everybody's saying different numbers. There's no way we're gonna get
Okay.
it.
Well, you can turn it any way you want. I just wiped it with a paper towel just to get really too quick, but I can just go like that, and it's going to be hard to see. Let me just do it over a white piece. So
Water-based.
you can actually see. It's water-based, so it's absolutely going to come off. So when I do that, it's underneath it because it's spread through, so it may not look like it's coming off, but I promise you can see right there.
Okay, there we
It's
go.
coming off. And then if I turn that over, I can take it off. It all comes off.
Stencils are okay to be stained as long as they're not gunky.
Correct, without paste. I mean, I never clean my stencils. If I had one of my stencils from home, it's just caked in acrylic paint, and I actually like the look. And in fact, just so you guys know, a lot of times what I do is when a stencil gets really, really painty, because sometimes when it gets really, really painty, the small holes don't really show anymore. I just take it out and it becomes part of my collage material. And also, by the way, if you do get a stencil like this, which is the stencil, my new Stencil Go stencil, I usually just cut these up.
Oh,
And I take
smart.
all 9 and separate them. That way I don't have to worry if I have some paste here. If I need to stencil here, I don't have to worry about laying the whole big stencil into the paste. I can just take the little miniature stencil.
So smart.
So that's a little bit of a hint. So let me ask you guys if you have any questions that you haven't asked. You've asked a lot of questions already,
Yeah.
but I'm happy
Any
to answer
questions?
any that you have.
I'm not a dirty girl like you.
Are you referring to me?
Yes, it was not me.
Okay.
I don't think it was me. I wasn't doing anything. Okay.
I'm happy to answer a question.
When will sprays be available? Okay, I guess.
Sprays are gonna. Okay, so there's 3 products from my line. The first one is the dye spray. That's available to be shipping at the end of January. The ice, that's going to be available to ship mid-February. And the pigment is going to be available to ship mid-March. So we've chosen to release the lines in a staggered format. I promise you, I mean, I'm on YouTube now, I think, right? So I promise you that I'm going to be doing a lot of videos because I think that my approach to some of the traditional products, I like to do it my own way, and I want to educate everybody. So there's going to be a series of videos placed over the course of the next bunch of months as each are released that are going to introduce the products, talk about the qualities, talk about the properties, not even necessarily even demonstrate them, just so you get a chance to see the product. And then I'm going to show you the traditional ways and sort of very untraditional ways to use them. If you know my name, it's just go to my website, which is my name, SethApter.com, and then you can click over to my YouTube channel, etc. Because I think there's endless things you can do with this.
Oh, they want to know if the sticky is gone from the sprays. Like if it's not sticky anymore. I don't
The
think
sprays or the ice? Because the sprays are never sticky.
No, because it went on the ice. So that's, I wonder if it.
Oh, this right here? Oh, so this is still a little bit wet. You can see a little bit wet there. Like the lighter areas are totally dry. That's still a little bit wet because it went on thicker.
And it's not sticky.
It's not sticky. I mean, I want you to just rub right there. It's not sticky anymore.
Oh, can you emboss with the glaze?
You can emboss with the glaze. So what you absolutely can. So what I love to do with the glaze is to layer the ice on, and then just not pour, but just take my fingers, the best tools we have, go into the jar, squeeze, and sprinkle like that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
And then you get this beautiful effect because it's not just a big blotch. And then I heat it. If you want to not have it be like bubbling, you just go on the low. If you have like my embossing powders are with Wow. Wow has this great dual heat tool, a low and a high. You would go on low, and you would just move it around, not hold it too close. The embossing would work, and you might get a little bit of change in the ice. But if you want that bubbling, especially with embossing, go to town with it, and you will get this incredible bubblicious textural effect. It's insane what it looks like. Are you okay?
There's a troll there that said something very not nice.
Okay.
I won't even repeat it.
Okay. Sorry you don't like
both
me.
Of you. No.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with.
Okay.
This is to do with religion, not with.
Okay.
Just to last, somebody said, can you do lives? Somebody please block that troll and report it. Please. I'll go delete it.
Sorry
after.
about that.
Yeah.
Can you do lives?
Can you do live streams? Somebody asked for you with these things. If you
Oh, I'll
can
be doing lots of Facebook lives. That's where I do my lives. I don't do my lives on YouTube. I don't even know if you can. Yes, you can. You probably can. All my lives are on Facebook.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everybody knows. Thank you so much, Seth.
Pleasure. Thank you, Karen and Karen's people. I'm so appreciative. Thanks for all the love and comments. I will go back at some point, probably a little while after the show, and watch the video and answer any questions you might have that weren't answered yet.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.